There are many mysteries in the world that have not been solved. These mysteries can be quite intriguing and sometimes downright creepy. In this video, we will explore some of the most fascinating mysteries and disappearances that still have people scratching their heads. From missing people to nefarious companies, there is no shortage of mysteries out there. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we will take a look at 3 interesting disappearances and mysteries. Prabhdeep's Srawn disappearance. It's not every day when a seemingly ordinary 25-year-old vanishes. In 2013, Canadian Army reservist Prabhdeep Srawn disappeared with little clue about what may have happened. Today, it's one of Australia's biggest mysteries. At the time of his disappearance, Srawn was studying on the Gold Coast in Australia when he left for a touring holiday which he planned to finish off in Melbourne. Of all the possibilities, only one thing is known for sure. He drove a van to Charlotte Pass and never returned with it. The New South Wales police called off the search for Srawn after only 2 weeks, a decision his family was outraged by. They continued their own investigation into Srawn's disappearance by funding private searches. His own cousin and sister flew to the Snowy Mountains to organise search parties in the hopes of finding out what happened. Unfortunately, Prabhdeep has never been found. On the day of his disappearance, 4 other hikers set out to make the same journey that Srawn had planned just a few hours earlier. The group had run into a blizzard on the trail that made them take shelter in Seaman's Hut, the only shelter on top of the trail until they began again the next day. The group did not see any sign of Srawn. One clue about Srawn's disappearance is that on a laptop found in his van, he had been extensively researching Australia's second highest mountain, Mount Townsend. While the trail was far off from the main track, Srawn had not been carrying a sleeping bag or tent, meaning if he set out to complete the trail, he had meant to finish it that day. He did not expect anything to ruin his plans. Since his family lived so far away from the location of his disappearance, they had to rely on the help of locals for the search. The family even offered stipends of $250 a day to volunteers with a grand prize of $100,000 if Srawn had been found alive or not. This brought many searchers to the area who were hoping to find Srawn and earn the reward. According to Sydney man Dave Jarvis, many searchers were unhelpful and were just in it for the money. Jarvis himself estimated that he spent about 80 days on the search and had actually lost money looking for Srawn. Unfortunately, the significant efforts to find Srawn did not lead to his discovery, and 2 years after he went missing, the New South Wales Coroner's Court declared Srawn dead by misadventure. The authorities rejected theories that Srawn intended to hurt himself, as all evidence suggested he lived a happy life and had plans for the future. His family still holds on to hope that without a body to confirm his fate, he may still be found alive. As they said in a released statement, miracles do happen. David Michael Burney disappearance. Another unexplained disappearance is that of David Michael Burney. Burney was last seen in 2007 after purchasing a red 1987 Toyota Tercel that he planned to use to visit his daughters in Georgia. He was seen at a Jet Pep gas station in Battleground, Alabama, and has not been seen since that fateful June day. About 2 months after his disappearance, his new Toyota was found in Bankhead Forest off-road B15 in Winston County. While the car was empty of gas and was missing a battery, there was no blood at the scene and no clues of a struggle. All of Burney's family, from his mother and sister to his 6 children, said that he would never have disappeared by choice. They believe he may have been met with foul play, as he had enemies that would have wanted to harm him. Unfortunately, to this day, 15 years after his disappearance, authorities have not been able to crack the mystery, and the case has gone cold. The family has been left without answers to this mystery of what happened to Burney. Dave Box and the Furnace. A small farming town in Fernald, Ohio, happens to be the location of one of the strangest mysteries. For years, the town's main employer was the Feed Materials Production Centre, also known as NLO Unknown. The public had been unaware that the Department of Energy had owned NLO. It was one of the only plants in the US that had secretly possessed uranium for nuclear weapons from the 1950s to the 1980s. Many employees, including Harry Easterling, believed they were working in a safe environment. However, the secretive company faced a major scandal in 1984 when a factory accident caused massive amounts of radioactive smoke to be released into the atmosphere. The accident led to an investigation that revealed that NLO had released more than 200 tons of radioactive dust into the air and water sources in the local area. According to reporter DC Cole, "We had an environmental disaster. I think if you did a survey around the Fernald community now, you would find very few people who trust the government." Perhaps the most mysterious aspect of this story was the loss of life of plant employee Dave Box, whose family believes he was murdered because he was about to reveal the truth about the company just a few months before the accident. Dave was a pipefitter at NLO, whose job it was to inspect and maintain the factory's equipment. His co-worker, Harry Easterling, believes Dave knew what the company was up to from conversations they had. On the day of his passing, a witness saw Dave walking towards Plant 4, although he had been assigned to Plant 8. That was the last time anyone saw Dave alive. That morning, a furnace operator assigned to Plant 6 informed his supervisor that there was a mysterious, sticky residue covering the casings in his oven. The supervisor dismissed this and found nothing wrong. It was his co-worker, Harry, who later reported Dave missing. Plant records showed that at approximately 5 a.m., the temperature of the furnace in Plant 6 had dropped by about 28 degrees, suggesting that a foreign object had been dumped in. A worker also found what looked to be a bone on the furnace. After the sheriff's department had been called into the plant, one employee found a set of keys in the waste material that belonged to Dave's car. What was strange about this is his co-worker had seen his keys in Dave's toolbox at around 7 a.m., 2 hours after the foreign object had been dropped into the furnace, yet were then somehow found in the furnace. If this is true, it suggests that someone had taken Dave's life and then threw his keys into the furnace as a cover-up. Investigators concluded that Dave was most likely deceased and suggested that it may have been due to suicide. While Dave had a history of troubled mental health, this explanation does not cover all aspects of the story. His family and multiple former NLO employees believed he was lowered into the furnace and perished because he knew too much. If something other than the official story happened to Dave, it will probably never be revealed unless someone comes forward. Unfortunately, his family will have to live with this mystery until then. Although some disappearances may never be solved, that does not stop people from investigating and trying to piece together what happened. In many cases, the families of those who have disappeared are left with more questions than answers. However, by exploring the evidence and coming up with possible explanations, we can at least hope to get closer to understanding these mysterious events. But what do you make of these disappearances? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.